What they say, in all that you do, cover your ass. I'm your fave nurse B. So we're doing this vlog style again. Hopefully you all can hear and see me. If you're new to my channel, go ahead and subscribe. That's what I need you to do, because I answer viewer questions about being a CNA, CMT, nurse, nursing school, all that. So go ahead and subscribe and turn on your notifications. Okay, so what we're going to talk about is charting. This is one of the most important things when it comes to nursing, because if you all haven't heard it yet, I'm going to let you know. If you did not chart it, honey, you did not do it. You didn't do it. Let me give you an example or an analogy. So when you go to the store, say you bought yourself a camera. You go to the store and you take it back. You're like, look, this camera not working. I got it from here 2 weeks ago. It's not working. Can I please, get a new camera, get my money back, or whatever the case may be? They're going to say, what they going to say, where is your receipt? Oh, I don't have my receipt. I bought it from here. How do I know you bought it from here? How do I know you bought it last week? How do I know you didn't steal it? How do I know that you even got it from here? How do I know you didn't buy it a year ago and you're trying to return it today? The receipt is the documentation. You get what I'm saying? If you do not have the paperwork, if it's not in writing, it did not happen. And that happens, that's the case anywhere in life. So when you remember that, you will do well when it comes to charting. You need to document everything, but there's a certain way of doing it. So the first thing that what is this car doing? Like, do you want to get off? Do you want to stay on? Okay. The first thing you need to realize is, well, that was the first thing. Second thing is, when you chart on a patient, you first need to know what the facility is asking you to do. So do they want you to do, dude, this guy cannot drive. Like, what's wrong? Or do they want you to do like narrative charting, where you kind of give a story? Basically, at the end of the day, charting is a story, but there's certain ways that they want you to lay it out. Everybody getting over. So should I get over? So narrative charting is more so like you telling a story. You're basically doing a full head to toe assessment of that patient. So you're saying, what their cognitive status is. You're gonna say, what does their skin look like? What does their heart sound like? What is their vital signs? What is what else? Are they in pain, which is part of vital signs? Do you listen to their lung sounds? How do they sound? Are they coughing? Are they on oxygen? Do they have any edema? Listen to their bowel sounds. Do they have bowel sounds? Are they slow? Are they fast? Have they had a bowel movement lately? What was the bowel movement like? Those type of things. You have to go into great detail, and basically it's not really focused on one thing. And then you go into charting that's focused on one thing. So basically you only chart on patients when they're like on antibiotics, or if they had a fall within like the last 72 hours, or if this patient is on a new medication, you might chart on them. Or if they had a change in mental status, you might chart on them. Or if they're a new admission into the facility, then you chart on them. So there's times when you chart on patients and there's times when you don't. So it just depends on what the facility wants you to chart and when they want you to chart, or how they want you to chart and when they want you to chart. So learn that about your facility. But when it comes down to actually charting on these patients, like I said, you're telling a story. The person who is going to be looking at this, whether it be the doctor, therapy, sometimes family members can look at, nurses' notes. I wouldn't let them, but sometimes people do let them do it. And the state board of nursing, yes, this is like the number one thing they look at when they come into a facility, whether it be a hospital or a nursing home or whatever. They're going to look at that documentation, because they're not there to see what the person's skin looked like if something happened 2 months ago, or if somebody fell and had a fracture. They don't know like what happened. They're going to say, oh, well, let's look at the documentation and see what happened. You're telling a story. So you need to make sure that you're thorough but not too thorough. You want to get the facts out. So when people say you need to chart objectively versus subjectively, the way to remember that is subjective charting or subjective information is anything that someone says, whereas objective information is anything that you actually can observe with your senses. What does her skin look like? What does her womb smell like? Hopefully you're not tasting nothing. What does it feel like? You know, is it warm to touch? Is she having, you know, is it scaly? What does it look like? All those things. That's objective charting. Whereas subjective charting is you're basically, subjective charting, it will get you in trouble because you're assuming something. So when you chart subjectively, you do things like resident appears to have wrapped her arm around an extension cord and pulled herself out of the bed. Where when you came in the room, they had the extension cord around their arm and they're on the floor. You don't know for sure if they're actually on the floor because they wrapped their arm around the extension cord and pulled themselves off the bed. You don't know that for sure. You just know that this person is on the floor and their arm is wrapped around an extension cord. You don't know anything. You don't know how they got on the floor. So don't assume that that's what happened, that they pulled themselves off the floor with the extension cord. They could have fell off the floor and then wrapped their arm around the extension cord. You don't know what. They could have just wrapped their arm around the extension cord and then got up and sat on the floor. You don't know what happened. So only chart what you can see, hear, all of those things. Anything that has to do with your senses. And then once you talk to the patient, which is so important, you must talk to your patient and you must quote what they say. So you ask them when I asked the patient, you know, how did they get on the floor? Patient said blah 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 blah, and put it in quotes. So you need to make sure that you're charting objectively versus subjectively, unless you're doing you're charting what the patient said. And it's okay if the patient's cursing at you and doing all that. You can chart that the person said, "I don't give a," or "leave my room," that type of thing. You can chart all of that. Sorry about the lighting, y'all. It's no problem charting that, okay? Because that's what they said. You're being honest. That's what they said. So, I mean, what can you do? Okay, so something else with charting that I want you all to know is never chart what somebody tells you to chart. At the end of the day, you chart what you see. Don't, because sometimes some facilities, they will be like, "Girl, just write this down." Da 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 da. That's you chart what you see and you go from there. You don't let anybody influence it, because what these facilities will do is they will have you chart what they want you to chart, so that they don't have to go and do their due diligence and follow up and see what might have caused a fracture or caused da 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 issue. They want to, because at the end of the day, when it comes down to it, you're going to get thrown under the bus, not this huge corporation. It's going to be you. So make sure you put what you see. And also, what I see some people do is they will look at somebody else's assessment in a chart and they will go off of that person's assessment. So say you went into the patient's room and you chart and you notice, or that you did your assessment and you see that they're having some wheezing. All the nurses before you are saying that their lungs are clear, but you see that they're wheezing. Don't just put lungs are clear because everybody else is saying it. No, put that it's wheezing, and then you need to put your intervention. You have to show, if there's an issue, you have to show some type of nursing intervention, or you have to show that somebody else is aware of it and it's something that's being taken care of. So you get what I'm saying? So if you know, you go in, you check your patient and they're wheezing. Okay, after they're wheezing, you're gonna check their oxygen saturation. You're gonna ask them, did you just get up? Have you been walking around? Do you feel like you have shortness of breath? Are you do you have to cough? Have you been coughing? Have you been spitting anything up? What does it look like? Do you want to drink some water? All these different things. You're checking their temperature, you're checking their vital signs, and you're charting all of that. You're charting everything I just said, because you want to show that you had an issue. You noticed an issue and you did your huge assessment. Well, it doesn't have to be huge, but you did your whole assessment and this is what you came out with. Then you were like, okay, well, let me go ahead and contact the MD and let the MD know what's going on and see if he or she wants to do anything. Now, when it comes to doctors, I have a whole video about how to talk to doctors. You should definitely go watch it. But when it comes to doctors, I've had times where doctors say, do not call me about this issue anymore. Chart it. I don't care. Chart it, because at the end of the day, like I said, these people will say, I was not aware of it. I didn't know this was going on. Doctors will say it. Doctors lie too, okay? Doctors lie too. They need to have a shirt that says that, but no. Doctors lie too. I mean, they have a license and a career that they have to protect as well. So some of them can fib on us nurses. So make sure that you document whatever they tell you, and that you contact family members and let them know what's going on. So really the main principles with charting is to make sure that you chart whatever all the time. Keep with you like a little notepad while you're going about your day, doing things with your patients, because you can forget a lot of things. So keep with you a little notepad, so when you go in a room, you can write everything down. And then you'll be able to look back at it. But, you know, just don't put any personal information and then leave home with it, because, you know, you can't do that type of stuff. It's HIPAA. So yeah, do that. And also, you need to chart objectively versus subjectively. You need to make sure that you are painting a picture for anybody else that's coming to look at it. And then you also need to make sure that you are comfortable and you are that you stand on your assessment. Now, if you do the assessment and you still kind of feel like, dang, like, am I hearing her lungs right? There's nothing wrong with you finding another nurse and asking that nurse to come in and assess that patient for you, or, you know, to help you. Nursing is 24 hours, and also nursing, you're never alone as a nurse. So there's nothing wrong with it. And I mean, it's different when you're doing home health and things like that, but for the most part, you're never alone, and you can definitely have somebody give you a second opinion. But go with your intuition. You have to trust your gut when it comes to this, okay? And cover your butt, okay? What they say, in all that you do, cover your ass. All right, so make sure you do that. I hope this was helpful. I might add on it a little bit more. Make sure you go follow us on the YourFavNurseB Facebook group, and make sure that you subscribe for more videos, turn on your notifications, share this video with somebody if it'll be helpful with nursing students that you know and things like that. Oh, when you chart, some places they have it where when you're charting the time, make sure that you're on point when it comes to time. Always keep a watch on you as a nurse. Always keep a watch. I'm telling you, especially when it's like a lot of crazy stuff happening, you need to make sure that you are on top of the time. You need to know what time you saw that patient, what they were doing at that time you saw them, what time you called the doctor, what time did the doctor call you back, what time did you go ahead and, you know, call the hospital to send the patient out, what time did the the ambulance come, what time did the patient leave. All that stuff. Time is very important when it comes to nursing. All of these concrete, meticulous things, the devil is in the details when it comes to nursing and charting. You have to be very detail oriented and very thorough. Now, of course, when it comes down to charting, a lot of people feel like charting takes over the patient care. It does, but what you have to realize is that charting is patient care. It might not be direct patient care of what you think of going in and doing this and touching on people and doing all that. But charting is patient care, honey, because when the issue comes up, the first thing they're going to look at is that chart. When a patient is starting to cough up this brown, disgusting, funky stuff, and you're like, what is this? And you think, oh my goodness, let me look at this person's chart. When's the last time they had a BM? And then you go and look, and there's no charting on when this person had a BM, or the charting that's on there is from like 2 weeks ago. And then you're looking through the nurse's notes, and you're like, okay, the nurse's notes are not showing anything. And then you talk to the CNA, and the CNA is like, oh yeah, when I was here yesterday, I told the nurse that he was that his stomach was really hurting him, and he hadn't had a BM. I told her this was happening. Nothing is documented. Nothing is documented. And this gets people messed up. And I think some people don't want to document because they feel like when there is an issue and they document on it, now you have to do something about it. You gotta do something about it. So it's easier for you to just not document it and be like, oh, well, I'll pass that on to the next shift. Somebody will get to it. And then next thing you know, your patient in the hospital. You know, they having issues. This person might have to go through surgery. This person might end up dying. So charting saves lives. I don't care what nobody says, it saves lives. And also, this is how your facilities make money. People want to know why they're not getting paid enough, and all this is because the whole cycle of things not being done. Now I get it, like I said, it's hard, and sometimes these dang old facilities have you charting the same thing 5 different times. Now that sucks. I mean, like at my job, you have to sign like 5 different things just to give somebody a dang on Vicodin. But it's part of the process. It is what it is. So that's my little spiel about charting, and those are my tips for you all. If I come up with anything else, I'll do a part 2. If you have any questions, go ahead and leave it in the comment section, and I will work on those. The reason why it takes me sometimes a little bit longer to do videos is because I like to do research. I like to really think about it. Sorry, I like to do research on things, and I like to talk to other nurses, and I like to kind of like be reflective and think about what has helped me, and then I come to you all, or I come to you all with some experience that I have, because sometimes these nursing channels be kind of like, I don't really look at a lot of nursing channels, but just from what I hear, some of the stuff is generic. You know what I'm saying? Like, I want to come to y'all with what I know to be true and be as real as possible with you all from my little perspective. You know, I still got a lot to learn, but from what I know, those are the key things when it comes down to charting. All right, you all, thank you all for watching. Make sure that you check out my second channel, Stay Forever True, if you want to get some videos just more about me and my life. And some people have been asking about these earrings. I will be posting a link to how to get them very soon. All right, you all, thanks for watching. Peace.